Welcome to episode 205 of Coffee and Co-Read, your source for all things literary with Catherine. Hey, Kristen. Wow. Yeah, but you aren't pronouncing the R when you say it that way. February. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Okay. Hmm. Yeah. You're trying to insert it way too early, is what's happening. Yeah. It's a good point. It's probably the same thing, I guess, like once upon a time we did say it, but now we don't. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. You'd think that would be a part of it. Yeah, it'd be interesting to know these things, like February. February. Woo. Just can't say anything anymore. That's fair. Yeah. Oh, God. Something like that. It came out last year, definitely. Yeah, no, I think two books came out before it last. Like, she wrote three books last year, and I think two of them came out first, so. Mhm. Yeah. Which is kind of like how Bride was. And more of a fun fantasy. Like, there is some fantasy elements, but it's very much like this could be happening in the real world if vampires and werewolves existed. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it is like just a time of year. The days are shorter. February is a very short month, but it feels like the longest sometimes. Especially, like you said, snow day. We got a shit ton of snow. We got so much fucking snow. Yeah, that's too much snow. I like, yeah, I know. Hated it. Yeah, you could get out of your driveway. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Mm. Oh, really? Yeah. Oh my god. You're like, well, you shouldn't have. You're the problem. Oh, no, no. Obviously, with the way he answered, he knew you were joking. And you were like, boo! Oh, yeah. 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 Man, the other day after there was a snowstorm, I went into the office and I like got out of my car, was walking in, and I just slipped and fell on like a knee. And I had my coffee and I didn't drop it, but I was just on one knee and I had done legs the day before and I was like, I don't know if I can get up. So I like was swearing and pushing myself up. And anyway, I got into the office, wasn't a big deal. Later, security calls me and they're like, hey, we saw on the camera and someone reported that you fell in the parking lot. Like, we need to report this to like the contractor that's supposed to keep the parking lot safe. And I was like, oh my God, how embarrassing. Yeah. So funny. Oh God. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Oh God. Yes. Yeah. It wasn't bullying. Yeah. 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 So yeah, we're reading Mate. I have read it before because I read everything that Ali Hazelwood comes out with as soon as it came out. So I have read it. I like it. Good book. I know you do. You keep being like, I wonder where this is going, and I'm like, I know. Yeah, lately all of the books we've been reading we haven't read, which is fun because I like reading new books. But yeah, this is a departure. So yeah, Misery. Hmm. Yeah, definitely. By Misery's father. By the vampires, which is not what she's telling people in this book. Hmm. Yeah. To like, yeah, yeah. And like, Bride did 100% set this book up. Like, the end of it was like this Lowe's friend, Koen, who was like his mentor guy, was like, yeah, was met Serena and was like, oh shit, she's my mate. So we did see that in Bride, and we were like, oh, that's going to be another book, and it was. So, just a heads up, this is not a spoiler-free zone, and things might get saucy. I can't remember exactly where we stop. I don't really think they do. Yeah. So yeah, normally we talk about the author. We have talked about Ali Hazelwood before, and she did come out with 3 books last year. She mostly writes contemporary romance, but she has written a few books that are fantasy. There's Bride, this one, and then she has an audio one, I think. That's also vampire-ish, but it's a different world. But she also has another book kind of coming out this month. Two Can Play was a Spotify original audiobook, and it's a novella, and it was released October 2024, and the print edition is being released February 10th of this February this year, which is interesting. Yeah. But it's interesting because it's one of the first times that I've actually seen a book be released as an audiobook before a print edition. But it's not super surprising because it's like, obviously, I believe this one was Spotify, and I think Audible does it sometimes, but it's just to get people to like read on their platforms because they know authors are popular. Which, good for her making money, but it's also like, these corporations. But yeah. So, we're doing chapters 1 to 10 in this first week of Mate. We also start out with a prologue. And if you remember Bride, this book is kind of set up the same way where there's like a little quote at the beginning of each chapter, and it's from the main male character's point of view, which is kind of fun. Yes? I think so. That's fine. I'm pretty sure they all are. Oh, yeah, I guess we don't know for sure that they all are yet. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think they're all in his point of view, except for the prologue. We're not really sure whose point of view this is. Because the prologue starts out and she's a child. But before it says, the child was trained well, not by her family, by life. And then we go into a prologue that, spoiler alert, we are going to get more information about this later. So, the door breaks in, and it is Serena. We don't know that. Yeah. But she runs to her mother, but her mother won't come with her, so she goes upstairs to wake up the cruel, nasty Were, and he yells at her for waking him up, but then he hears something happening, so he's like, oh shit. She goes and hides in the closet, and blood starts coming under the door, and she gasps, which makes a man open the door, and she looks at him, and he's death, and she's about to scream, but he commands her to stop, and she does. And it is. But he says that he smelled her, so would have found her. And someone downstairs yells up, and she starts to cry, and he, like, wipes away a tear, and he tells the person downstairs to call the social worker. And this man tells her it'll get better, and this will hopefully be the worst day of her life. And he asks when she last ate, and she can't remember. She's like, maybe a few days. Like, she doesn't talk to him, but she's just thinking it. And she lets him pick her up because she knows that she can't walk over the blood without his help. And she thinks that he probably helped her mother too, so they're likely going to her now. Mm-hmm. liberating children from, yeah. And it seems like they're human. Like, it seems like the children that they're finding, like, based on, like, social worker, there's no social worker in the were world. So she is being sent to a human world. Mm-hmm. Oh, definitely, yeah. Yeah. I can't get too into it without spoiling. Because we find out exactly what this is later and like why they're storming in and what is happening. Um, so yeah. Anyway, so uh, then we get a new chapter, and it's Cohen's little blurb, and it's she tore him apart and remade him, and it took her less than a second. Sorry, I made a lot of noise there, but um, so Serena is outside running in underwear and a camisole, and she doesn't have a phone, and the moon is small, and she thinks, like, this is a shitty night to die. It's not a good night for dying. And she thinks, like, she woke up at 1 a.m. to someone breaking into her room, so she ran. She tries to make herself shift, but she can't, and running is, like, cutting up her feet and legs. And she can smell that there's a vampire after her, and he's in his prime, and he's aroused by the chase because of fucking course he is. And he's catching up. So he slams her into a tree and puts a hand around her throat, and she pleads, and he, like, eats it up because he's disgusting. And she says she'll do anything, and he's like, anything? And he uses a knife to, like, cut part of her shirt open so that, like, there's more cleavage, like, of course. Yeah. And then he's distracted by cutting her shirt open, so she knees him in the groin, headbutts him, and then elbows him in the stomach. And then she just, like, throws some dirt in his eyes and grabs a sharp rock, but he's a vampire, so he's fast, and he grabs her arm and stops her. And he does say he can't kill her, but he can make her hurt. And then a male voice says, can you, though? And it's Cohen, because of course it is. And she can just smell the vampire's fear immediately. And he asks why Cohen is here. And Serena's like, yeah, why is he here? Because apparently he lives hours away. We're kind of getting thrown into this, and we're like, interesting. Like, yeah, what's going on? And Cohen is like, you can't ask me why I'm here. This is my territory. Why are you here? To the vampire. And the vampire says that he'll kill her, and Cohen asks Serena if that's okay. And she says she did run out of instant noodles last week. I love the banter in these books. It's just, it makes me laugh. Yeah. Yeah. I love it so much. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Um, and, like, to that point, like, they banter again, and they decide that they're going to call this vampire Bob because he won't tell them what his name is. So they're just like, and I'm like, this is super convenient for me because I was like, the vampire says, and now I could just be like, Bob. So Bob says that he can't kill her, but he can do damage. And Koen just says, go ahead, she can take a lot. And then Bob says that all the vampires want her now and are willing to pay. And he tries to, tell Koen that others are going to come for her and that, Koen can get some money if he, lets Bob take her away. But Koen's like, you're really bad at trying to get me to... Yeah. And then Bob says, they also say that she's your mate and that she rejected you. And Koen says he's going to have to kill Bob. And then Jorma's going to make him do a fuck ton of paperwork, which is just kind of funny. I know. Which is kind of why it's funny, because I was like, really? They do that kind of thing? And I guess, yeah, I guess you do. And then, of course, Bob says that Serena is not in a position to reject anyone right now. And he says that he'll pass her to Koen after he's done with her, which obviously Koen just looks at him, and then he's like, well, no, you can have her first. And then he's like, and then I'll just take her away. Yeah, you'd think that vampires would understand what mating is. I guess. It's just so stupid. And, we got in Bride that, vampires are much more, they aren't a monogamous society because it's so hard to get pregnant that they just, will sleep with anybody. Not anybody, but, they're just not monogamous. Yeah. Cold-hearted. Yeah. So anyway, he basically says that Koen can have her first, and Koen nods, and Serena's like, what the fuck? She's shocked. And Bob says she might even like it, and I just want to puke, because I hate men. The end. Yeah. 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 Yeah, it's exhausting to continuously have this be a plot point of he can just be a bad man, vampire guy. He doesn't have to be a rapist. And I feel like we're saying it in every book. So, and then Koen tells Bob that he had it in him all along to negotiate. And Serena starts to fight, and she tries to shift, but she can't. And her brain is telling her that, Koen is her alpha, and he protects, and Koen isn't like that. He won't rape her, but she's not really sure. Yeah. 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 No. We don't have it yet, I guess, but they literally have this conversation. And I think, was some of this conversation in Bride? I can't really remember exactly what was in Bride. At the end, I can't remember. We didn't get a conversation between them, did we? No, we just got a conversation between Lo and Koen about her being his mate. She's my mate. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah. So Koen comes over to her and asks if she'd enjoy it, and she shakes her head no. And he says, well, you better use that rock. And as Koen was coming over, Bob started loosening his grip, so she's able to twist free and like stabs Bob with the rock. He pushes her down and raises the knife to her throat and calls her a fucking bitch. And then he just falls forward like onto her dead because Koen clawed his back and killed him, which is ideal. Yeah. There were so many parts taking notes that I was like, they're just too close to real life right now. Like, the fucking bitch comment, I was like, this is, of course, that's what men say when women don't do what they want. It's, yeah. Yeah, it's, ugh. Anyway, so, then Koen just kind of like starts talking to her like this all didn't just happen. He's like, evening, how's your night? And he tells her that she looks like shit. And she's like, is that how you speak to your beloved mate? And he just says that she's his mate. He didn't say anything about loving her, which is just like, oof. Because obviously we're coming into it like we don't know the conversation they had. We get it now in a minute. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because, like, it's to say someone rejected you makes it sound like they rejected you. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. 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 Um, so then he says that they have to go to the den and that her retreat is over. And then we start a new chapter and we get Lo and Koen kind of argue over telling Serena that she's his mate. But Lo says that he won't lie to Misery and that they should actually make it public to keep Serena safe. And Koen says that he'll kill any were who tries to harm her. And Koen also calls Lo annoying. And Lo just says that he had a good role model, which is kind of funny. Yeah, this is all a flashback. And then we get 4 months earlier. So I'm assuming this is like right before this 4 months earlier. They had that conversation. Because I think like this is actually straight out of like this is telling us that Bride ended 4 months ago because in this scene, Serena goes upstairs to check her emails on a computer in Lo's house. And Lo and Misery and Anna and Koen are all meeting up downstairs and chilling together. And, like, this is their big reunion at the end of Bride. So it's literally, like, Lo and Koen have that conversation, and then immediately... So this is all within the end of Bride, kind of. So, yeah, she goes up to an office, and she picks up a computer, and she tries to turn it on, and Koen just tells her that it's not plugged in. And she... No, he does not. This happened on my first day of work at my, like, first big job. I was like, I don't know how to use the computer. It was just not plugged in. I almost cried. Anyway. So, Serena thinks that she wanted to give Misery, Lo, and Anna some privacy, and Misery's the happiest that she's ever been, and Serena was just, like, captured and kidnapped for 2 months, and she feels kind of fucked up, and she's just coming to terms with the fact that she's a hybrid, so she's just like, I need some space. So Koen just comes in and he's like, the plug is on your left. So she turns and he's like, your other left. So obviously she turned to the right. So she's very just like overwhelmed by things. And she tries to introduce herself to Koen, but he's like just standoffish. And she's like, oh, is that because it's not like where practice to shake hands when you meet? Or like, what the fuck is going on? But she asks if he needs something, and he says that he wants to talk. But then he just stares at her. And she asks if he's there to behold the hybrid and does like a twirl for him. And he just says, what the fuck have I done to deserve this? And then he says that he's been a piece of shit for most of his life, so that's what he's done. Like, it's just funny. So then Lo shows up. And is like, oh, did you tell her? And Serena's like, are Misery and Anna okay? And he's like, yeah, they're fine. They're downstairs. Because she's like, obviously something's going on here. So she looks at Koen again, and she thinks, like, he's kind of intimidating. And he's got, like, a bunch of scars, and he has 3 big scars from, like, claws down his face. And he's really big. And he just looks at her and says, you're my mate. And she's just like, what? And he's like, did Misery explain mates to you? And, yeah. No. Yeah. And Serena asks him if this is a terminal diagnosis, and he says that there's no cure. And she's just like, well, this escalated quickly. I know. I love them. They're both funny. And then he calls her kid at one point, and they just kind of like banter over a nickname, and eventually he lands on Killer. Yeah, you're my mate. That's weird. But there is a big age gap. I think she thinks it's about 10 years, but we don't actually know. Oh, okay. Yeah, she thinks at some point here that it's at least a decade. Yeah. Yeah. No. And I think, like, she's late. Okay, yeah. Yeah. Interesting. I'm 36. I don't think I'd ever date a 25-year-old. Yeah. That's guys of any age. Um, yeah, I guess I also haven't been around. Yeah, so I don't actually know what there are anymore. I'm like picturing babies. Like, so who knows? I don't think it's something I want though. Oh yeah, exactly. And I'm fine with that. So yeah, he calls her killer. It's kind of ironic, but also she did kill a shit ton of vampires in the last book. Um, so Lo cuts in because he's like, do you actually understand what he's saying? And she asks if it means that Koen likes her. And Lo says yes at the same time that Koen says no, which is hilarious. And Lo kind of starts to explain it, but Serena's just like, can you leave? Which is just funny. And yeah, 100%. But I guess, like, it makes sense that she's like, you're not my mate. Why are you trying to tell me this? So, anyway, he leaves, but he's like, if either of you need me, let me know. Um, yeah, and they even comment about how, like, protective he is and how it's adorable. Um, and then they, like, say how he's good for misery, and Koen says vice versa, which kind of surprises Serena, because obviously Misery's a vampire, and, like, people don't love that in the werewolf. But, no, he just says that vampire. Yeah. It's like, you can say vice versa, but you should probably know her name. But yeah. He then basically explains to her that mating isn't about love. And then he kind of alludes to the fact that it's about sex until she finally registers that that's what it is. Yeah. And she asks if he can control himself. And he says always. And yes. And this is kind of like, you get this and you're like, oh, of course he didn't rape her in the first chapter. But yeah. She asks him how this is different to, like, human men she's met. Because we kind of get now that, like, he even says that she's the most beautiful woman he's ever seen. And we get that, like, she's super pretty. She kind of developed early and was... I don't want to say fetishized, but, like, kind of, even when she was young, by older men who are awful. It's like all that bullshit. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 Yeah, and I think, like, she does say, like, misery was important and she was just replaceable, which is, like, such a sad way to grow up. Um, it is. And, like, obviously, in the first book, Misery's childhood isn't the happiest either. Her name is fucking Misery. But, like, to be comparing... yeah, it's not good. Um, yeah, exactly. Which is kind of funny because they kind of get into that in a second. Not super into it, but he's just like, yeah, you definitely have complex PTSD. And she's like, true, yay. It's like, get her in trauma. Get her in therapy immediately. So yeah. he basically just says then that, like, he isn't human, so he doesn't know how he differs from human men. But he says it's just hormones and nothing to do with liking or loving her. And Serena kind of thinks, like, in her old life, she wouldn't have been attracted to him at all. She was super attracted to, like, more feminine men, almost, is kind of what she describes. And so then she keeps talking to him, and she says that he finds her attractive, and he just says that that's an understatement. And she asks if he'll die of a broken heart or something. And he says, humans are fucking dramatic. And she says, whales are such dicks. And then he's like, yeah, and you're a mix of both. Which is funny, and I love it. She then tells him, like, she knows very little about him, and she's not in a position to start a relationship, so she has to decline his offer. And he just says, what offer? And I'm like, oh, so embarrassing. He says, I would have died. I would have thrown myself out the window. He says he just wanted her to know the truth. And she's just like, oh, so you love telling the truth or something? And it's just a weird way for her to get a line in to say that she lies a lot. And she tells him that she's going to lie to him a lot. And spoiler alert for the rest of the book, she fucking does. She's... yeah, I do love it. Yeah, it's such a weird dynamic, but 100% she's so honest about the fact that she's gonna lie. So she asks him if he's sure that she's his mate, and he says that he is, and she asks how she would know if he's her mate. And he just says that he's not, whatever the wording works. He says he's sure that he's not her mate. So I guess it cannot be reciprocated. Yeah, I don't think he really says it in this moment, but, like, that would make sense. Like, her just, yeah. But and I also don't know if he's just saying this because he doesn't want her to think that they're mates. For reasons. So she's just says, like, she's not sure if she would know or not because she's not really super in touch with everything aware about herself. But she tells him that she feels very safe with him. And he just says it's because he's an alpha. And she says she doesn't feel the same around low. And he kind of just brushes it off. And then she's like, okay, well, I guess we can be friends. And he's like, we can be polite acquaintances. So she agrees and says that he can quietly pine after her. And he says, thank you. And she says she's a mess anyway. And he agrees. And this is where he says that she has complex PTSD. And he goes to leave. And she just says that maybe she could... And then she says, he's a nice guy. Maybe they could go for coffee. And she kind of likes him. And he just cuts her off and says, it's just sex, and that he actually isn't interested in her in any other way. Which is kind of harsh, but sad. Yeah. I think, like, if we had have reread Bride, I think there's a little tidbit that is a clue in Bride, but we'll get to it. I think it happens pretty soon that we figure out why. Yeah. 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 Did you want to take a break now? I'm at a new chapter, so. Cool. So we start another chapter again, and the top part just says she expects little and is not easily offended. It makes pushing her away frustratingly hard. Which is just such a sad thing to say about her. Like, I can't remember if we talked about how shitty her child was yet. But like, yeah, like I think we did talk a little bit about it. Maybe not. I don't know. Sorry. But her childhood is so shit, and she just has so little expectations of anyone in her life that him being like, he's trying to push her away, and she's just like oblivious to it because she just expects it or something. It's just sad. Sad times. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's a sad times. Um yeah. And like we kind of get into it a bit more later, I think, about like more of her childhood, and we got a bit of her childhood in the last book, but we really see a bit more of it later on in her feelings on other people and being a burden and all this stuff. It's a common theme. So anyway, we go to the present now, and Serena and Koen are in the car, and he asks her why she didn't shift. And she says that the moon was too small, but he shoots back and says that she shifted when it was smaller when they first met. So he's just like, clearly there's something going on, and I think he's kind of known there's been something going on for a bit, but he says, he asks if her inability to shift has anything to do with the reason that she disappeared for 2 months. And she thinks yes, but she says to him, she kind of just like dismisses that idea, but in her head it's true. But instead she says that she disappeared because in the past year she found out she was a hybrid. She's wolfier than she thought. She was abducted for 2 months. She murdered a bunch of vampires. And she came out as the first human were hybrid. So she needed some time to rest and relax after that. Which is also fair. Like, lots of trauma happening. Yeah. Yeah, and we get later what's actually going on, but I think after all of this, it's reasonable for her to be like, no, I just need some fucking time to myself. Like, I need to figure myself out. Like, I think that's one of the most reasonable things about her character. Um, but anyway, so then she kind of thinks about it, and she's like, wait, how did Cohen get here in time to save her? So she asks him, and he says that Lo slash Alex, who was in IT, who we met in Bride, told him that 2 vampires were hacking into the Southwest's, I think they're called, territory, trying to find her and Anna's locations. And they lured, I guess, lured, God, the other vampire into his territory, and Misery ended up thralling him. And they found out that a member of the Vampire Council is offering a lot of money for a hybrid, which is kind of what Bob said, so makes sense. In what way? Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Yeah, I guess they wouldn't be together if there isn't a threat against her, though. She would stick on her own, but because of this threat, she comes up with her convoluted plan. Mhm. Yeah. That's fair. Yeah, I guess it is like he's supposed to be hours away, so how did he know? It is kind of like you need a reason, but I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't, because clearly they lured one of them into Lowe's territory to deal with, and the other one went after Serena. So, like, yeah. I can't imagine they hacked, like, found out in person, because how did they move? I don't know. It's kind of, this kind of seems like a throwaway, and it's really not important, to be honest. It's fair. Okay. Okay. It's fair. Yeah. No, fair enough. So basically, the vampire that Misery thralled doesn't know who from the Vampire Council is actually like requesting this. They just know that somebody from the Vampire Council is willing to pay. So they're just like, I'll do it. Could be. Yeah. The and Bride had a lot of like politics stuff in it, and this book has a fair amount of politics stuff in it too. It seems like. Um, so yeah, it could be that too. Don't know. Um, so anyway, Lowe killed Bob's friend, the other vampire. He's gone. So Serena just says that she's proud of Misery and says that Misery used to only be able to thrall her. And Cohen's like, what the fuck? And she's like, well, it was consensual. Like, how else was she supposed to practice and learn? And Cohen just says, like, Serena might have permanent damage from it. And he says that it would explain what's wrong with her. And Serena's just like, what do you mean? What's wrong with me? And he's like calls out her self-imposed isolation, how she's weaker now than when they met, and she smells exhausted, which is like an interesting takeaway from like she went on a rest and relaxation 2 month vacation and now she's exhausted and weaker than before. It's like, okay. Yeah. Um and how she lies, he brings that up, and how like she wasn't able to shift. So she asks if Bob might have told somebody her location, and Cohen just kind of says, no, there's no way. He's an idiot. But it doesn't matter anyway, because she's not going back there. Yeah, because he was like, we're going back to. Well, maybe she doesn't, I guess. So anyway, he tells her to take a nap. and she asks what they're going to do about Anna. And he just says that Anna's fine, because nobody knows that Anna is a hybrid yet. There's just like a rumor, which we don't even really know yet, but there's a rumor that there's another were hybrid. And he says that Anna's fine because she literally has Lo and an entire pack to protect her. But Serena just thinks about how Anna is 7 and they need to protect her because she thinks of like how much shit she had to deal with when she was 7. Which just gets to like how sad her childhood was. Yeah. Koen's kind of indignant and just like, did you hit your head? And she's like, no, I don't think so. And like, she's not even 100% sure if she hit her head. It's just like, oh my God. But he's like, because you were just attacked. And he's like, he tells her she's the one that came out as a hybrid and is plastered over the news. So anybody looking for a hybrid is going to go after her. And she can like tell that he's angry. And she doesn't really know why. And I'm like, it's because he cares about you. Yeah. So she just says that, like, she can take care of herself, but he says he's gonna take care of her. Of course. Right? So she starts to say that he doesn't have to take care of her, but he cuts her off. And she thinks of how hard this night was for him, so she, like, thanks him for being there right on time to save her. And he tells her that he fucking hates it when people thank him. And he basically just says, like, if he's doing something, he's doing it of his free will, and it's because it's what he wants to be doing. Which kind of just is another, like, sign that he has feelings for her. But she doesn't notice. Yeah, because he wants to make sure that she's safe and fine. And then he just, like, looks at her horrified, and she realizes that she's crying. And that has never happened to me, that I've just been, like, that I've just touched my face and been like, oh, there's a tear there. Like, my eyes have watered up, and I've been like, I don't know why I'm crying. But I've never had a tear on my face and been like, surprised. It's a tear. Like, I don't know. Fine. And she just says that she's fine. She's just tired. So he tells her to sleep. And they make a bit of a joke about, like, bedtime stories. And he says that the were bedtime stories used to give him nightmares. And she's like, oh, that's probably what's wrong with you. Because they're fun and bantery about it. And then he, like, kind of commands her to go to sleep with his alpha voice. And she's starting to, and she says while she's falling asleep, they have a conversation, of course, because that's always what happens. But she says that she thinks he owes her an apology for staring at her tits. He says that she owes him an apology for having spectacular tits. Which is just like... That's not... Yeah. Yeah. But, you know, he finds her hot. Can't say he doesn't. And then she says that he might be the worst person she's ever met. And he says he wouldn't be surprised. So he's like, he does hate himself a little bit, which... I'm not gonna lie, I kind of like it in a main male character when they hate themselves. So she falls asleep for a few hours, and she thinks, I don't know how she thinks this, I don't know, but she thinks for a few hours she doesn't think of how little time she has left to live. Yeah. So she's dying. So then we get another chapter, and it starts with Lo and Koen are arguing over Serena going forward to the media about being a hybrid. And we get that it's the human governor's idea, and she's likely the one who leaked it to begin with, that where hybrid humans existed. And Koen is worried about the danger that Serena will be in, and Lo kind of says, like, the benefits can outweigh the cost because, like, all three species are kind of at war right now. And if we can, like, create bridges between them, which, like, figuring out that there's a hybrid alive could create some of those bridges to, like, stop them all from fighting. But Cohen's pissed. And then Lo just says, you know, Misery hates this more than you do, but even she can see the good about this. And Cohen's like, nope, I refuse. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, yeah, it's funny though. So, so we go to 2.5 months earlier, and Serena is in a studio, and she's basically right now getting ready to do her interview coming out as a hybrid. Koen is there with her because she thinks, like, Misery and Lo being there would kind of, like, be too much of a direction towards Anna being, like, related to her. Someone could look into that. Not related, but you know what I mean. And Serena kind of thinks that, like, Koen is so against this, she almost finds it funny, which I find funny. And then the interviewer comes over and just tells her that, like, they're now showing a clip of the interviewer and a geneticist that was recorded yesterday. And Serena thinks, like, she had to go to 6 independent groups of scientists to confirm that she's actually a hybrid. Which I guess, like, a lot of people think that it's a hoax and all of this stuff, so there was a lot of testing done, a lot of blood was taken and stuff. So the interviewer is asking the geneticists about humans and wares, like, becoming one species. And the geneticist kind of says, like, no, that's not really a possibility because most hybrids aren't fertile, which we know is true in real life, like mules. Yeah, they can't have their own. Yeah. So, there has to be. I assume, like, all these mixed breeds of dogs that exist, can they have babies? Like, once they're a mixed breed? You think? Yeah, but a doodle and something else can have babies, but then can their babies have babies? Because they're the mix. Yes. Yeah, so then can the doodle have kids? It can? Okay. Because I just feel like technically their species are so close. Like, human, were, and vampire are such close species. It does kind of remind me of, like, different kinds of dogs. Yeah, but they're all still humanoid. The humans, wares, and vampires. Like, they can all have sex. They're all, like, you know, like, they're very similar. Like, you can't even tell that they're not that they're a vampire. Like, Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah. But I feel like a coyote and a wolf are very similar to just dogs and two different species of dogs, kind of thing, you know? Yeah. Yeah. And and a cat? Cat? Okay. I I just assumed I would hear the word buffalo. Yeah. Yeah. I like a zonkey. my my brain went monkey, and I was like, that doesn't make sense. Oh yeah. Whale dolphins? Interesting. Yeah. It's just interesting because, like, we've obviously fucked dogs up so much domesticating them. Because, like, dolphins and whales are very similar as a species as well. Like, aren't dolphins in the whale species, some of them or something? I don't know for sure. Hmm. Gotcha. So I guess my thing is, I don't. I guess we didn't even really get into it. So he's saying most hybrids are not fertile, which is a true statement in the world. Yes, that's where we came from. And then he says that Serena is unlikely to be able to have children with humans or with wares. And she kind of has like a gut punch moment of, fuck, I didn't know that. And at the same time as they're telling like the entire world, it's really shitty and it's not fair. But it does make me wonder if she is going to be able to. Because like for her to have this reaction and like mating, according to Koen, is purely about producing offspring, it seems like. Because it's all physical, it's all about sex. So it seems like the only point of mating is, based on what he's saying, is for children. I don't necessarily believe everything he's saying about mates. I think there's more to it. But I just wonder, is it three different species? Is that actually what's happening in this world, or are they all just kind of like closely, like, are they just different breeds of human? Yeah, I think so. So, like, I don't think this hybrid, I don't think you can just, like, blanket say hybrids aren't able to produce children if they're not separate species completely. Kind of like we just went down the rabbit hole. Like, dogs are different breeds. They can have, like, you just figured all that out. Very good information. But it makes me wonder if they're more like different breeds of human. I feel like, and spoiler alert, skip ahead like 30 seconds if you haven't finished this book. Kristen doesn't care. It doesn't come up. Like, we never find out if she can have children in this book. I wonder if there might be more books. Not the same way at all. Nothing obvious, but there are other people in the book. You could pick a story out of anywhere. So I do wonder if this could come up again. Like, I feel like we could get something else, another book from this world. Anyway, that was just a tangent. But it's shitty that she's finding shit out about her body on live television. Like, that part, indisputable, awful. So yeah, she's like, what the fuck? So she's trying to pull herself together, and by the time she, like, gets herself back into her body and listening, the interviewer is already, like, halfway through asking her a question, and she's already, like, live on TV. So she goes on with the interview and answers questions, and she says that she's coming forward now to set the record straight about hybrids, and the interviewer asks her, like, why she thought she was human until last year. And Serena kind of thinks, like, she can't really say the whole truth, but she can kind of, like, pick parts of the truth. So she says that the ex-governor, Davenport, who we met in Bride, was afraid that she'd be a symbol of unity, which is funny because that's what she's kind of well, not her. That's what the new governor is kind of hoping that she'll be now. Like, we get in a little bit what exactly her motives are for this interview, but like the other governor is trying to, like, make her a symbol of unity for the were and the humans. But Governor Davenport's politics are based on divisiveness and fear-mongering, is what she says. So he wanted to keep the species apart so that they would hate each other instead of being like, hey, wait, really the problem is the government. It's not my fellow person. Which is just too real, to be honest. It's too real. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's kind of explained here a bit in that, like, they don't know how they found out she was a hybrid. She assumes, and this is what she says, but she assumes that, like, a doctor tested her and found out and then told the governor. And the governor must have told Misery's dad, whose name I don't fucking remember. Doesn't matter, he's dead. But they decided then to keep her with Misery, to keep an eye on her. It was more so to be like, if she's with Misery, she won't get lost in the system, kind of thing. And I think they kidnapped her because she was starting to find out that she was aware, and then if she had have realized she was a hybrid and told anybody or talked to anybody, then she could have been this symbol of unity that she's talking about now. So, like, I think that's all real, but she does kind of say all of this in like she leaves out Misery's dad as a bad guy, and she leaves out like any of the wares that helped, and she just says that like Davenport is the one that did all of it on his own. And we get now that he actually died 2 days ago in prison. And, right? And Lo just says it wasn't them. And he says it really quickly that she's like, do I believe that? But then Koen says it wasn't him, and he sounds disappointed. So I'm like, we're supposed to get that Koen didn't do it, but Lo might have had him killed? Like, I don't know for sure. Well, yeah. And honestly, if he didn't, then Davenport could just be like, this is all lies, which you wouldn't want to deal with. So yeah. Then she basically just explains what I just said, but that Davenport took her when she started to realize that she was half were. And she was able to shift and escape from being kidnapped. Yeah, she was able to shift and kill a bunch of people to escape. And Misery also helped her and all that. But she also tells everyone that her blood is red, but her senses are somewhere between a human and a were's. And then the interviewer asks her about rumors of other hybrids, and Serena asks, surprised, and she thinks, like, this is why she's here. She came to, like, make everybody question that there's a second hybrid. So in the original rumor that said that there were hybrids, it said that there was, like, an adult woman and a younger female wolf that lives, or hybrid that lives with the wares. So she's here so that people kind of forget about Anna. So she kind of acts surprised, and is just like, what are you talking about? And she says, like, she doesn't know about any other hybrids, but she would love to meet some. And she's able to kind of be like, oh, well, maybe the source was mistaken, and maybe it was from, like, when I was a child. Maybe they just mixed me up because they found out about me being a hybrid. She is. And, like, after that, she's like, whew, I did what I came for. This was all I needed to do. And the interviewer asks then if she misses living with humans. And she says, of course, even though that's completely not true, because since she came out as a hybrid, humans have been awful about her. Her old coworkers wrote up, like, op-eds about her and said that she deliberately misrepresented herself, even though she didn't know. A waiter said that she asked for an extra rare steak at a restaurant. A guy that she went on 3 dates with said that he suspected there was something wrong with her when she didn't like what other women did. And I can totally see men coming forward like this after somebody doesn't want to have sex with them, because that's kind of what's implied. Gross. Yeah. I can't imagine our demographic is that high on men, but who knows? The interviewer then asks what she has to say to those who believe that hybrids are threats to society and should be eliminated. Which is just so shitty. It's like, yeah. Yeah. She's so awful. Yeah. Yeah. And, like, Serena just has to be like, oh, they can believe what they want. But she does say centuries of conflict have benefit no one except for those in power. Which is just another line that I was like, oof, it feels too real right now. Please stop, book. So the interview's over, and she goes over to Koen and, like, pulls him away from the interested interviewer who's, like, thinks he's hot, but Koen doesn't give a fuck. And I'm like, another tiny clue that she's a little bit jealous and he's a little bit in like of her. And then Koen just immediately asks if she knew. And she knows that he means about her being able to have children. And she says no. And he is pissed. Because obviously it's a shitty thing to do to her. Tell her in front of everyone. Yeah. And so they are walking out. And she hears one of the security guys say behind them that, like, the gall of her coming here and being protected by them when they'll be the first in line to get rid of her. Which, yeah. They're so stupid, and honestly... Yeah, you know that wares have superior hearing. Like, why would you say this around them? That's just so stupid. Why would you say this? But, yeah. It is really stupid, but I am just like, I'm not surprised. I'm like, yeah, the government saying that they'll be the first in line to kill her. I'm like, oof, also too close to home. Like, God. But she spins around because she's pissed, and Koen pulls her back. And he says he doesn't like her kind either, or thinks she should have come. And, like, we 100% know he thinks she shouldn't have come, but that's not what he's saying. And then he just kind of, like, makes this joke about how women belong in the kitchen, and that's why why he said he doesn't like her kind and thinks she shouldn't have come. And then he tells the man to apologize, or else, basically. And the guy's like, is that a threat? And Cohen's like, oh, I must be doing something wrong if you can't tell that it's a threat. Which I love. And another guard just, like, steps away from them and reaches for his weapon. And Koen says that this guy can apologize to her now or wait till later to be fucked up. And the guy says, like, he isn't afraid of Cohen's animals. But Koen says, what makes you think that I wouldn't kill you myself? Which I love, because he would, because he loves her. So obviously the guy apologizes because he's trying not to be killed. So Koen reaches out and shakes his hand, and he's just like, oh, it looks like you hurt yourself. And Serena's like, what? And then we get that Koen, like, took his claws out and scraped 2 vertical lines, like, up his wrist and started him bleeding. And Koen says if he comments on her again, it'll be his throat. Love it. So then Koen pulls Serena away and says that she needs to make him a sandwich, going on about this joke. And they end up outside, and like people are losing their shit outside of the station. Like some are calling her an abomination and a liar, and some are saying like, love you, Serena, you're so brave. And then there's this one person who's like quoted as saying, blessed with the power of blood and the blood of power, the flesh will be reborn and take new shapes. And like, she thinks that he's just spouting craziness. And she kind of finds it funny, and then she notices that Koen reacts to it, and she's like, oh, he must find it funny too. It's like, sure. I'm vaguely dropping this hint. I did my first read too. Yeah, neither did I. So Koen helps her into a car and says that she did good in there, and obviously calls her killer because that's what he calls her. And she says that that's high praise, and he says he didn't say she did great, and they just kind of have a laugh. And then they get back home, and Koen and Anna make them sandwiches for dinner. So like, he's not actually. He was making a joke to be a dick. Ah, me too. Mhm. Yeah. Yes. I love it. Oh yeah. I'm not sure. Mm. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Mm. Yeah. Yum. Sounds good. Yeah. Yeah. Love that. 2.5. Yeah. You're moving. You're not. He's not keeping you completely still. I just. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, he always has a smell. Yeah. 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 It's fair. Yeah. Mhm. Some some people could have these names. Yeah. Yes. Hmm. I guess it's not really murder because they're not humans and they don't live by the same rules that humans live by. Like humans still live by like in this world like you could go to jail for murder and all that stuff. But like the vampires have their own rules and the wearers have their own rules of like that kind of stuff. Third, second. Yeah. Yeah, I was thinking that they could be somebody, and there's like some other people that come up that could be a couple. Yeah. We get more of them as it goes on. Not really. I could see there being like a second chance romance with them or something. But I don't know. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Trauma. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Unkind. I'm sure they care. We know what you mean. No. because, I don't know, dealing with a lot of not-for-profits and stuff, like, it's in their bylaws what a majority is. So, like, your majority can be 25%, it can be 50%, it can be 75%. So, like, is a super majority, like, it has to be over 50%? Because, like, okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Okay. How specific you want to get. Okay, I guess that makes sense. No, me neither. It must be a thing in certain worlds. Like, it's not a thing in my world, but like maybe in, like, I don't know, science world or something. I don't know. I know Ali Hazelwood's background is a lot of science stuff, so I wonder. Yeah. And it could be a states thing. Because, like, yeah, I just mean, like, our government, like, you get so many seats, and then it's if you're a majority or a minority government, like, obviously that's, yeah, that's different than the states. I don't know. Is there a difference if you get, like, a, no idea. Uh, Same. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I don't know. I don't think either would be overly helpful. It must be a photo of her because the person knows who they're looking for. So it would have to be a photo of her. I don't know who to be more powerful than they are. Hmm. Yeah, but we already know from the first book that he's shit. Like Misery should have done this because she's better at all this techie stuff. Like why wasn't she the one to? Yeah. 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 That's fair. Yeah. 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 I don't think we have. Yeah. 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 I think yeah. I I think it's more to do with the situation in life that she's currently in and she like what's going on with her. She's not super worried about like we get it in a minute anyway, but she's not worried about her being in danger or her being killed kind of thing. So she's not afraid of that danger. But I also think it's more so that they're the only two people that are hybrids. So and then her shitty childhood. There's that little piece too. So like I can kind of buy into it. But I think a lot of it has to do with how she sees her life right now. Yeah. 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 Yeah, but she just doesn't. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it does. Yeah, of course. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Well, yeah, but I guess he could say that it says that he wants to have sex with her because that's true, and that's what he's told her. But he's one track minded. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's my age. I date him. Well, and she even, I think she said that, like, she kind of ended that party stage 2 years ago when her whole life went upside down. But yeah, 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 and it like it does seem like it seems like it should be bigger because we get that he's like kind of Lowe's father figure. So, but like there's really not that much of a gap between them either. Even less. Yeah, I think he's older than Misery, and Misery has to be 25 as well. So like 7 year age gap or something. Yeah, okay, I'll try. Yeah. Yeah. Mm, yeah. I think it's like crescenty small. Like it's not, if it was a full moon, she'd be able to shift. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I I'm not sure about that. But in my part, when she first originally tells him that she couldn't shift because the moon is too small, she thinks that it's going to be full in like I don't know how long. But she specifically thinks like it isn't full right now, but it will be full in like a week or something. Yeah. 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 Yeah, it kind of reminds me of Fourth Wing, the dragons that are mated, or like end up in pain if they're not together, kind of thing. Hmm. Yeah, which fair. That's how they get you. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you think. Tick. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. Ooh. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and not even like not even in a sexual way, but like when we get it later. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah. Mhm. Yeah, wild. What a way to start a book. I'll take that risk. Sounds good. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. What do you mean? Yeah. 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 But I think it's because he's not letting her go anywhere alone. So it's better she live in a house that's either just her or her and Cohen than actually live in a house with a child. Super helpful. Yeah. Yeah. Very true. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. 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 Well, just I can't remember exactly where we stopped this week, but I'm like, it does work on Cohen. Yeah. 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 Well, the doctor should tell her what he means by that. Like, it's her body too. That's she doesn't know these things because she didn't grow up where. Like, she doesn't understand what a mate is. Like somebody needs to have this conversation with her. Hmm. Yeah. 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 Oh, a huddle is used to describe a group of penguins. No. Mm. Yeah. Hmm. Well, I wonder if that's the point. Like, if he thinks you're gonna do something bad, he just kills you. Yeah. 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 Which I love. Yeah. He would care. Mm. Yeah. Hmm. More so than in Lowe's pack, where they were mostly human most of the time. Surgeon? Yeah. It does. Maybe. That's fair. Yeah. 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 Hmm. Yeah. Good. Of course he was. Yeah. Yeah. like a liger versus a tigan or whatever you called it. Yeah. 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 Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Very convenient. Mhm. Yeah. Hmm. Ugh. Yeah. Of course. Yeah. Yeah, and she was like, yeah, misery's fine to be here, even if she was coerced into it, but she didn't agree for him to listen. Yeah. Which I know I've talked a lot about how I love soup. I know I've talked a lot about how I hate in books when the female main characters don't eat, because it seems to be like such a fucking trope lately, and I'm like, God damn it. But in this one, she's dying, so she's not really feeling well enough to eat. And I'm like, I'll give it a pass, I guess. Yeah, yeah. But yeah, I just feel like I have to bring it up because I've complained about it so many times. But I'm like, it's a bit different. She's dying. I know. What a dick. Yeah. Yeah. Well, he shouldn't. Yeah. Yeah. Oh no. What a happily ever after this book is. Yeah. Yeah. Sure is. That's good. Of course I do. I can tell you offline, but I definitely can't tell you online because that's way too much of a spoiler even for us. So next week we're going to be reading chapters 11 to 20 of Mate by Ali Hazelwood. So make sure to follow along, and if you're enjoying our chats, don't forget to follow, rate, and review wherever you get our content. Thanks for listening, everyone, and we'll see you on the next page.